Hey, I'm Wade Forster from Queensland, Australia, and you're listening to Van Call with Pearl Snap in Fort Worth, Texas.
Who are you? Where are you? And what do you do?
My name's Wade Forster. I'm a rodeo cowboy and a country music artist here in Australia. I live out in outback Queensland in Western Queensland in what they would call the outback. Yeah, pretty nice spot.
So, for people who aren't familiar with the geography and the size of Australia, how far are you from, say, Sydney or Melbourne?
Ooh, Sydney, I would say 2,500, maybe 3,000 kilometres. Even though I don't know how to translate that into miles, unfortunately, but it's a long, long way.
How long of a drive is that?
Two, 2.5, 3 days probably max.
I'm wearing something and drinking out of something that I'm jealous of you for. This is my favorite beer that I discovered in Australia, and you can't get it here. So I'm here wearing a Furphy cat and drinking Dr. Pepper out of a Furphy koozie instead of drinking Furphy.
Well, we can't get them out here too, mate. Don't stress. I can only sort of get it when I'm in the city. So,
Well, now that we're done with that, I don't normally wear beanies, so I'm going to switch to my solid country gold hat before my head burns up in here. So, also things that you can't get. Uh, don't be too jealous because it's not good for you. But when I went to Australia, I had this bright idea that I was going to take several rolls with me on the flight. That way, you know, I wouldn't be a terrible human when I ran out of nicotine and was going through withdrawals. But the very nice people at the airport that we had to go through to get allowed into the country wouldn't let me keep but 3 or 4 cans, and it was very sad.
yeah, they're pretty strict on that.
So I got a request after my first Van Call episode from a lady in Washington State, and she said, "Hey, do you take requests for artists?" And I'm like, never had this come up before, but sure. And she said, Wade Forster, and she sent me a link to Fighting Tears. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'll check that out. And then I did check it out, and I'm like, that's a good song. Um, and then I ended up listening to the whole album and loved the whole album. And we started talking a little bit. Um,
Yep.
tell us a little bit about that song, Fighting Tears.
Yeah. So, funnily enough, that song wasn't even supposed to be on the album. It was a bit of an afterthought. I wrote it about a week before I went to record the album, and I really liked the song, so I decided, you know what, I'll just take it down with me because I write everything out on paper because I'm, not very good with technology, but um, I wrote it out and I took it down with me, and I had a bit of time left over when I was there, and I was like, "Hey, could we do this song?" And I played it for them, and they said, "We're definitely doing this song." And story of the song is when I was a worker in Mount Isa, and I used to be friends with this girl, and she went a bit off the rails, and we all, a bunch of blokes there, were all sort of for her and that, and the moral of the story was she sort of, she fell in with the wrong crowd and ended up doing the wrong things. But yeah, she ended up taking her life, unfortunately, and we were all sort of a bit upset about it. But it taught us all a pretty valuable lesson about where your headspace could really take you. Like if you're not in the right headspace, it really can do damage. So I'd sort of use that song as a mental health statement for anyone, really. It happens to boys and girls, so it ain't weak to speak, and that's my sort of message from the song.
Yeah, it struck me as a very personal song, and one I was pretty sure was based on a personal experience rather than just a general topic or things you'd seen through the years. If you don't mind, I'll play a little bit of it.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
Later down in our hometown, we really fought for her. And her mom and dad picked a coffin out of old Fraser fir. They told me not to bash myself, did all that I could. Told me if I'm down, come around, tell us all the things you could.
Anyway, the storytelling throughout the song was very coherent and paced well, and at the same time, I had to listen to it several times to catch all of it. It's a really deep song, and I maybe one of the weird ones. I appreciate that in a song where you can get lost in it, and then have to every time you listen to it, you pick up something new.
I've had a few people tell me that they get lost in the song, like they'll be listening to the story, but then it takes them somewhere else. And I never really seen that because in all of my sort of tastes in music, I like to follow the storyline more than the actual song. And yeah, until people were telling me that that's what was happening, it was sort of an eye opener for me. So now I'm sort of, it helps when people tell me stuff like that. It helps me with my songwriting, seeing that I've only just sort of got into music of the last 5 years. So it's definitely going to help me forward thinking about writing new songs and all that. So no, I do appreciate people telling me that.
Well, and also besides, there's a story in the song, but just the chorus itself is quite powerful, and you can kind of just you get that kind of stuck in your head, or at least I did. If you don't mind, I'm gonna play the chorus real quick.
If you need my help, then come along. 'Cause I've been going too long to be alone. All the rank broncs and the steers can fight my way past beers. And I hope I'm not the only one who's out here fighting tears. And I hope I'm not the only one who's out here fighting tears.
If you tell us a little bit about that, I don't know if that's a chorus and a bridge or just a chorus, but tell us a little bit about that.
I guess that chorus for me is just the big question. Like, if you really are down, it doesn't matter if I barely know you. I've seen too many of my friends die, and I've had a lot of death, especially through the COVID era. And I think when I was writing this song, I really wanted to make a point that it is okay to not be okay, and actually get the help you need, and whether it come from a friend or an absolute stranger, it shouldn't be a problem worldwide. And I feel like that's the statement I wanted to make with that song, and especially in the chorus, I wanted everyone to think about that when it comes down to it. Like, I could get a message from someone saying, Canada, US, the UK, if they were really down, needed someone to talk to, I'm there, because I've seen it all before, and it's not something that anyone wants to go through alone. And everyone gets sad every now and then, and everyone just needs to talk to someone. And I feel like writing that song, instead of just saying it like, oh, I'm here for you, mate, or anything like that, I was, actually saying, look, if you're really going through something, hit me up. Like, I'm always here for a yarn.
Going back to just the songs themselves, I was kind of blown away by the variety in your songs, because that's a very deep song, "Fighting Tears," and then you have some just radio ready, punchy, get after it type songs. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna play first verse and the chorus of "Cigarettes" here real quick, so people can get a taste of a different style of song on your album.
Another day in the same old bar, drank everything, beer and whiskey this fall. I don't know why I'm still here. I think I got some demons now, ain't it clear? Someday I'll beat the cigarettes and you.
Anyway, that chorus itself is just such. It's like it's a it's a self-served home run right there. Everybody can identify that, even if they're not a cigarette smoker, I believe.
This was actually the first song I ever wrote. Cigarettes. I wrote it in
Oh
a
wow.
little house in Mount Isa in 2018 that I was renting. It was across from the rodeo grounds, funnily enough. And when I released the album, I was at the rodeo grounds for Mount Isa Rodeo, and I was looking at my house. So it was a bit of deja vu when I released it and all that. So, but yeah, it was the first song I ever wrote, and it was about a girl who pretty much give me an ultimatum about my cigarette addiction, and you know, and she was. It wasn't just about the cigarettes that really bothered me. It was just how she was, yeah, not your very nice woman to sort of be around. She was quite the rebellion, and you know, I liked her. I liked hanging out with her, but a lot of the time it was more trouble than it was fun. So I realized, like, while writing the song, I could, like, you know, make it, you know, I'm better off without you. I'll beat you and the cigarettes. You know, I'll be healthier both ways. So
Well, how's that going?
well, yeah, I've been 3 months without a cigarette, which is pretty good. Seeing that I've only
Nice.
quit, I never had thoughts about quitting when I wrote the song. Really, I was like, love
Yeah.
smoking, but yeah, when I tasted American cigarettes, that nearly made me want to quit. Then, not for the faint of heart. Like, Jesus, they're rough. Because over in Australia here, like, I used to smoke rolled tobacco, and I remember going to Texas, and I was in Fort Worth the day I landed. It was the first time I went to the States. Actually, it was with my family, and I bought 2 pouches of rolled tobacco in a 50-gram pouch, and I realised I didn't bring any papers to roll them in, and I was walking around Fort Worth asking locals, where do they sell rolly paper? And they were looking at me like I was just the biggest pothead in all of Texas because I was walking
Right.
around asking.
Yeah.
They don't have it. I did not realize that America didn't have rolled tobacco, and yeah, so I ditched them and I went to the Marlboro. What did I go to? Marlboro Reds, I think. And good Lord,
Well,
I
those are
just
strong.
heard about them in song, and I just like, oh yeah, I'll smoke them here while I'm here. Jesus, I didn't want to smoke again.
Yeah, it's pretty rare down here. I'll say that. Well, you said that was your first song. When was that?
That was in 2018, and I think I'd only been playing guitar for probably a year by then. I bought my first guitar off a Facebook Marketplace in Mount Isa when I moved there because I didn't know many people, so I was quite lonely and quite bored. If there wasn't a rodeo, I'd be sitting at home doing nothing. So I was like, you know what, I'll take up a hobby. I like music, like I like listening to music. I didn't know I could sing until I went to a rodeo with the guitar and I sung in front of a mate. Shout out Jack Campbell if he ever sees this. Um, but yeah, I didn't know I could sing. Didn't know I had the gift at all. It was, you know, like, it was quite a cool feeling to know that I was good at something besides riding horses. So yeah, I took it up pretty quick.
And when did you start working on this album?
I would say I first started getting serious about the album during COVID. I had songs, most of them songs wrote, but I had no idea where, if they would work together, like, you know, in an album, because it was too diverse. One would be this real nice radio ready song, and the other one would be a real hardcore team rope and rodeo song, and like, I just didn't know if it was the right thing. And then I just went over it and over and over it a million times, you know, here at home on my family's cattle station. And then I realized, you know, I've got the money sitting away because I haven't been going to rodeos because of COVID or anything like that, so I might as well go down and record it. So I took two planes out of Queensland down to a place near Newcastle, down on the east coast of New South Wales, very far away from me. And yeah, I did 13 songs, and yeah, didn't really sink into me what I'd made until I was walking around rodeos and I could hear people singing my songs. Like they'd be at camps there with speakers and drinking beer after the short go and that, and they're all singing my songs, and it was a really cool feeling to actually make a connection like that with my fellow cowboys and other people too of other walks of life, like people in cities that I used to go to boarding school with. Like they know, some of them know Team Roper's anthem, like one of the songs on my album, off by heart, and they've never been to a rodeo before, which is a cool feeling to me to connect to someone and show them my life. I feel like that's what I want to get out of music, is show people this amazing lifestyle I live, being a rodeo cowboy and working on a cattle station and, just showing them what I've got to offer.
So what was that like the first time you either heard somebody singing your songs or heard them playing it?
I'll never forget it. I was at the first song I released was a Tyler Childers cover, which was Onita, which was one of his unreleased ones, and I was, like a bit worried because, like, a few cowboys knew I could sing, and we'd get around after the rodeo at the goosenecks, the Eskies a beer and that, and we'd be drinking and playing, and it was all right. But like, I didn't know on a more of a broader scale that people would like it, and I was at, I think it was, I released it in like July. I think I was at a rodeo to the east of Queensland. I think I was at Emerald, and there was a young boy singing that cover I did. And I know this family, they're very Australian. They wouldn't even know who Tyler Childers is. So it was a really, really cool feeling for me to actually make someone, sing something they'd never heard of just because of namesake. And then word of mouth works a wonder here in Australia. Like, oh, have you heard my mate's stuff? And they'll play it, and then they'll get hooked, and then they'll share it, and they'll share it, and it's just amazing. Especially in regional and outback Australia, word of mouth is like the best promotion you'll ever get. Days too, like because the radio isn't as strong as it used to be, especially with streaming platforms and all that. We got this whole new variety of share of music, whether it be through Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, social medias, or even just like, hanging out with friends and they've got, their Bluetooth speaker or they've got the aux cord and, it's, oh, what's that song? I feel like technology evolving is helping us as artists as much as it sort of destroyed the CD industry and so forth. But, it is helping us promote, which is probably the main goal out of all of it.
Well, 10 years ago, I don't think I would have heard Wade Forster music unless, you made it on radio stations here or started touring over here, right? But now somebody in Washington State in the United States can say, hey, check out Wade Forster from Queensland, Australia, and I'm in Texas, and that all works within minutes instead of, you having to get over here and tour and do all the things for people in America to hear you. So you you have the two covers of Tyler Childers, I believe. So I assume he's one of your influences. Is that true? And then who else have been your musical influences?
I'm a big Tyler Childers fan. I cannot lie. He was probably one of the main reasons why I got into writing my own songs, because I think the first Tyler Childers song I ever heard was Feathered Indians, and I was like, this is just raw country music. There's nothing behind him. I love it. That's what country music was like. It was all very raw, and I think I found a bit of accomplishment in that, in the sense of if if he can do it, I can do it, because he's just got a guitar and he sings good, But that's not a knock on Tyler Childers either. He can do just about anything,
Right.
from what I've seen. Yeah,
Right.
Tyler's
Well, but
one
a
of my
lot of the
main.
early. Go ahead.
Tyler's probably one of my main influences, along with Coulter Wall and Cody Johnson and Zach Bryan, and there's a new couple of fellas that are rising through the scenes that I've found through Spotify and TikTok and all that, like Benjamin Todd and um, Benjamin Dakota Rogers, and just some really big underlying names, Wyatt Flores, them fellas that are blowing up just because they're just writing these itty gritty songs that anyone can play, and they don't have to be a masterful player, but because their lyrics are so powerful, it gets them by.
Yeah, and I didn't know one of those, but a friend of mine, Sergio, played me some Benjamin Todd stuff, and I really like his stuff. And then I believe YouTube introduced me to Wyatt Flores, and I haven't gone through a whole album of his, but I probably will soon. You talked about rodeoing. What do you do in rodeo?
I'm a team roper. I'm a healer. Um, I sort of take a bit of pride in that, and I've dabbled in calf roping and bulldogging. I just got started in the steer wrestling. In Australia, we call it bulldogging. But yeah, I travel around, most of Queensland and New South Wales a lot of the year, and do a lot of that. But I think music's probably going to take a bit of time out of that, so I might just do the bigger ones where the money's good and see if I can't pull a check out of there somewhere. But yeah, just team roping and bulldogging at the moment.
How long have you been touring in the rodeo?
Well, my dad and mum, they've been doing it most of their life, but I sort of give it up as a kid because I had dreams of being a football star. So I went to boarding school and I played rugby. But yeah, it was a bit skinny, it was a bit slow, and decided to give it up and ended up coming back home to work after I graduated, and then I got back into it. So about 2016, I started roping again, and then I think I was full time going to pro rodeos by about 2018, 2019.
All right. How old are you now?
I'm 24 years old.
Oh wow. Yeah, I won't say that. No, I'm
Is
old.
your
So your mom and dad rodeoed too?
Yeah, my dad used to ride broncs in his younger years, saddle broncs, and mum was a barrel racer and a breakaway roper, and dad team roped and bulldogged and calf roped all at the same time. So I come from very rodeo influenced parents, so it was pretty easy for me to get into it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you have any well, how many times you been over to the States, and do you have any plans to come back over here and play some of your music for us?
I would love to come back over. I've been missing Walmart like crazy. Geez, I've only been the once, and it was just to go do a bit of sightseeing before I got too old. Because my mum and my whole family went, but me a few times with the junior rodeo final team with Australia. They'd go over and they'd compete at Guthrie and all these different places, and I was always working, so I never got to go. But they decided they'd finally take me over, and I went over, and it was, funnily enough, like maybe a week before all the borders closed down during COVID. Like, I remember being in Walmart one day where there was anything you could buy, and then 4 days later there was nothing. The world went into panic, and I remember, like, I was luckier. Even this shirt, I bought this in a Walmart. Like, I just can't wait to get back over there. Like, I'm hoping to find some work over there, or even just to be an undercard for someone and play, and I'd lift carts and do whatever they need, just to get over there. Because I've got a
Yeah.
fair following in Texas and Oklahoma. So I'd love to get over there and play some shows and show America what I've got. I'm not just some Aussie kid. I'm the real deal.
So your song Black Sheep, is that based on personal experiences? Are you even allowed in Walmarts in the United States?
So there's no Walmarts in Australia, but
Uh,
um, when I was a younger fella in boarding school and that, like a heap of us boarding school kids, we had bugger all money, and I'm not the one who did this. This is just me taking it off a friend. But a friend he used to like chewing gum at boarding school, and we weren't allowed it. So he used to when we used to go shopping on a Friday after school, they used to let us go down because it was only a block away from the boarding school. So we'd walk down there, and he didn't have enough money, so he put it in his pocket, and someone seen us, so we raced outside, and they chased us down the street, and they never really called the school up, thank God, because it was just a packet of chewing gum. I think they figured out, but yeah, that's where I got that first verse from the song. But I didn't want to just make it about the store that it was called, because it was called Bilo, and Bilo doesn't roll off the tongue very well.
Right. And not many people know it either.
No.
All right. Well, I hope you get to come over here. I think it'd be fun. I think people want to hear you play. So you're 24. There's this concept that I'm familiar with called a walkabout. Could just come over and take a walkabout and bring your guitar and play some music.
Could go for a walkabout and go for a long walk over there. It's a long walk for a walkabout, but yeah, I'll walk about to a airport, I reckon, and then I'll walk about out of the other side. But yeah, I would love to go over there. It is a real dream of mine to play music in America. Even if it's just little crowds, I could say I did it. It's another thing that I can say I did.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that would really further my career, is just play over there and show them that American country music and Australian country music are much alike. Even though I'm very American influenced, I've still got that Aussie slang about me, and say all my words muttered and swear a lot. So, but I won't swear a lot in the music. I promise that. I'm very family friendly.
Well, I think that's good enough for now. You have any last words you want to say to people watching?
Yeah. If you've only just heard of me now, my name's Wade Forster. I'm an Australian country artist, and I've got an album out on all streaming platforms called The Beginning. Don't forget to stream it and give me a like on Facebook, Instagram, whatever you do. Wade Forster Music. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you down the road for sure.